A couple of you have asked what's going on with the neighbor on the other side of us, which is this house right here. It looks like they actually built a shell and they did the rendering of the outside and waterproofed the roof and painted the outside, and they stopped construction. And they stopped about 4 months. And then they came back about a month ago and they started the wall around the property. So you can see that that got started. And then once they completed the wall and rendered the inside, they stopped construction. So I have not seen the owners up here in a long time. So that's where they're at. I would say there's been nobody on site for a month. So it looks like they're building that home in stages. So also, I have a new home that I'm going to be doing a video on as well. So let me do a quick zoom. See the excavator right there? That is a long time subscriber to the channel. In fact, I talked to the couple when they were back in the US, just looking for property. And they were able to find the piece of property over there and purchase it. They actually purchased 2 lots, so it's about 2,000, little over 2,000 square meters, and they just broke ground just this morning. And you can see some of the dark dirt there in the background. So I'll get up there, and I'm waiting for the actual 2D rendering. They're still working with the architect. So I don't want to do the initial video until I have what the house is going to look like. The couple, I'm not going to name names yet, but they're actually due here at the end of the month. And hopefully I'll be able to interview them once I get to 2D rendering and do a video very similar to Ellen and Sandy, where I can get to introduce them up on the property. So it looks like I'm going to be juggling 3 builds here. How you doing, guys? It's been a rainy few days. I've been trying to get over to the neighbors now for 2 days now, and every time I try to come over here, it starts to rain. So it's about 10 after 5 p.m. So I hope the lighting is going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay. The guys just finished up the tiling in the carport, and they're working on grouting. So I'll do an update here probably tomorrow. But it's really been kind of miserable weather, very cloudy, and not real heavy rain, but heavy enough to fill the pool over the last 2 days. So I had to take quite a bit of water out of the pool this morning just so I could do a filter. So today I want to talk about roof trusses, and this is perfect timing because the trusses are starting to go on our neighbor's house. So let me get up into position and let's have a conversation. Hey, I can see the boss. Boss is right there. Let me wave. See her waving? See you guys. See you tomorrow. That's our guys, tiling guys, leaving for the day. So here on the ground, this is a good look. And then I'll show you what they've done up on the roof. Roof trusses. Now sometimes people build homes with cocoa lumber as their trusses. It does happen. I would imagine you would put some kind of a selenium over it, I would imagine, and get it in place, but nothing like steel, right? I mean, it's going to last a lifetime. So they use 2-inch angle iron, and it's all welded in place. This contractor actually does it at his home. And then what you'll see is they paint it. Very important. You don't want to just put raw steel up on your roof. So this happens to be gray. There's 2 colors that I know about. There's gray, and then there's red, and it's called a rust inhibitor. So they do that. It's all welded. All the welds are painted. And then typically what happens if there's any new welds, like down here, you can see there's no paint. What they'll do, usually up in place before the roof goes on, they'll go around and touch up any welds. So the trusses are in place for part of the home. And you can see, I'll do a quick zoom. You can see where they have their overhang. And everything is in place. Now what's very important for me to explain is we live in a typhoon prone area. And the good news is that Negros Oriental very rarely gets typhoons. They do, but often they come in either through Mindanao and then they go up through like Leyte and Samar and then up towards Manila. So we don't get many typhoons. So that's good news for us, but it does happen. So what they call it here is they want to typhoon clip these trusses into the columns, which is the solid pour with the angle iron, as well as anywhere there's a truss and there is rebar sticking out of a beam, which is right there. I don't know if you can see it without a zoom, so I'll do a quick zoom. See the two pieces of rebar sticking out? So the first thing that they do is obviously look at the blueprints and get all the trusses in place, which is, this is what a truss looks like. And they position it to the columns because you want the weight of the roof to rest on a beam or a column. And on a one-story home, not a lot of weight. It's really just the weight of the trusses themselves and then the metal roofing. A little bit of insulation, not a big deal. So you hear Prince making a lot of noise as dogs go by. I think he wants to play with the local dogs. So what they do is once the truss is in place, the rebar that is all the way down here, so this happens to be right here, a column. And you know there was, I think, 4 strands of 20 millimeter that go all the way down into the footing. Like you saw in the last update with Sandy and Ellen, where they have the rebar sticking out going down into the footing. So that rebar goes all the way up and sticks out the top. Now sometimes with very tall ceilings, this is 12-foot ceiling, sometimes you have to splice the rebar because it's such a long piece, you have to splice 2 together. But they come sticking out of the top of the column, and that gets welded to the truss, holding it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk inside the property or inside the house, which this is the living room area, and try to get a better vantage point. All right, so this is a little better vantage point. So typically, wherever there's a corner of a room, there's going to be a column. Even on the inside corner, there's going to be a column because it's designed to be weight bearing. So when the engineer and architect works on getting the trusses, they always try to go to a column where possible because that's weight bearing. And then where there's a beam going across, which is also weight bearing, you can also have trusses. So you can see in the corners here and here, there's a truss on the corner, but since this is a long span, they put a truss in the center. No problem because there is a beam. But what you'll notice, and this is by design, that wherever they're going to rest a truss, there's going to be rebar. And there's always plenty of rebar coming out of a column sticking out. Perfect example right there. There's a column. Look at all that rebar sticking out. Just by design, because there's all rebar coming down a column. But here, there is no column. It's just a beam going across. So they will automatically put rebar at the right spot. So they will rest that truss in between the rebar. And then what they'll do is they will bend that rebar down and weld it. So wherever a roof truss hits either a column or a beam, it'll get welded. Bent over and welded. And then they call a Typhoon clip. And I'm sure, I haven't talked to the owner or the engineer that's in charge of this job, but what they will also do, let me take the zoom out, I think it's a little bit in the way. They will do a wrap. So they will take another piece of rebar and go up around and back down, basically an oval, and weld that as well. Because what they're trying to do is pull the roof down tight to either the column or the beams. That's very important. So once the trusses are in place, then they will go between truss to truss with something called a C-purlin. So let me see if I could find any of them here on this build. All right, I found some in place, looking like it's getting ready to go up on top of the trusses. So this is a 4-inch C-purlin. Again, it's metal and it's painted with the rust inhibitor. And they call it a C-purlin because if you look at it from the bottom, it's 3-sided. So it's open on one side. And the reason for that is, see how it flexes just a little bit? You want your roof to flex a little bit with the wind. So what they will do is between the trusses, here's a good example. See how it's getting complicated? Between the trusses, so there's a truss there, there's a truss here. They will put C-purlins across. And what that will do is, one, strengthen the C-purlin, strengthen the truss, and tie everything together. And then the insulation will go on top, and then eventually the roof material, the metal roofing, will go on top of that. So it's all tied together. So I wanted just to go over that because a lot of people talk about, you know, are you comfortable living in the Typhoon area? Do you feel it's a risk? And we talk so much about how these columns are down 1 meter and how it's all a lot of rebar and a lot of concrete, but you don't talk a lot about the roofs. So one, they're all metal typically, and then there's trusses that are welded to either the beam or the column, and then the C-purlin's going across. And again, that's all welded in place. And then wherever there's a weld, typically they'll go back up and do touch-ups because this is all going to be covered with roofing material on top, and then of course sealing underneath. And then if you have like a carport like mine that does not have a ceiling, what they suggest is not only put 1 coat of rust inhibitor, but actually put a 2nd coat of metal paint. So we used red for rust inhibitor and then black paint. So there's 2 coats if it's going to be open. But if you're going to put a ceiling, then the rust inhibitor is fine because you're closing it off with a ceiling and a roof. And really there's going to be no moisture getting to it. Now you're going to need proper ventilation so it doesn't sweat up there. But nonetheless, 1 coat of rust inhibitor and then touch-ups for all the welds are perfectly fine. So quickly here, I just want to go over the floor plan again with you guys. So this is going to be kitchen area. This is going to be a sitting room. They're going to have a TV room here. Here in the middle, there's going to be a dining area. And then it'll be walkway to the main sala or living room area. I believe this is going to be like a storage room, like a place to store food. And then on the other side is going to be a master bath. So we'll go over there in a minute. We made a lot of progress. This is going to be a bathroom. And then this area here is main living area. Remember I said about midway of the house, there's going to be a 3-meter overhang where there's going to be a patio. So I'm going to jump over here. This is going to start the patio area. And then that's going to turn. Looks like they're going to have arches. Very nice. And then the patio area will end right there. So this is going to be all outside sitting area. And then all this area here is either master bedroom, walk-in closet, and master bath, all in this area. So all the masters on this side of the home. So here you can really see the height of the ceilings. 12-foot ceilings in the main area. And then in the master bedroom, I believe it's going to be 9 foot, and the bathrooms will be 9 foot. 9-foot ceilings. So let's walk back through. A lot of roof work's been done since last update. And I don't believe these walls were up either. So they're moving right along. And then the 2 spare rooms that we've talked about several times. I believe that's going to be 9-foot ceilings as well. And you can see it's going to be a bedroom and then its own bath. And then same thing here. Its own bedroom and its own bath. These 2 rooms will be for guests. And then my understanding, this is going to be an open area. A slider out to the back of the property. And then what also is new is, remember I said there was going to be, and I didn't know how this was going to work out, and I had to ask because this was a slope going down. So the last time we did an update, the wall ended here. You can see they turned it, and now they're building a wall where their driveway is going to be, so they can flatten this area out, because the driveway will come up and they'll park their car here. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the camera off because it's been raining for 2 days and I don't want to slide down here. So just bear with me for 1 minute. Well, that didn't take a minute. That just took a second. So here's the wall that I was just standing up there. So they're building a wall here so they can flatten out the terrace. Look at all the large rocks. There's a lot of weight in there. Looks like they got some rocks up there as well. So I don't know if this is going up higher or not. You can see they got their weep holes in case a lot of rain comes in. It'll allow the rain to escape. You can see how it's built on an angle because there will be a lot of force here pushing this way, just like there's force pushing that way. So it's built on an angle. This will eventually be their driveway. My understanding is it will come down to some degree. And then look at all the work they've done here. So this is going to be the steps going into the home. I think they're going to have a ramp. And then this is where the carport starts, right at this rebar. So my understanding, this is all going to be flattened out. So there will be an angle coming up, just like our driveway, and then it will flatten out. And then this is going to be a place that you could put 2 vehicles if you wanted to, side by side. Plenty of room. And when you look at the 2D rendering, you can see there's going to be a little wall here next to our wall, which is going to just separation between the carport and our wall. But this is where the entrance of the home's going to be, and this is where the dirty kitchen's going to be, and behind is where the water is going to be, the water storage tanks. So they just started laying some hollow block in this area. So I'm not exactly sure where everything's going to go. I'll find out. But I know it's going to be a ramp going into the home. There's going to be a dirty kitchen. Looks like it's going to be enclosed. And then, of course, roof over top. So there you have it. A lot of progress quickly. They really are doing a nice job. They're storing their cement in their typhoon shelter. That's a good idea. Keep it out of the rain, just because it's been hard. Luckily, our guys are working in the carport the last few days, so they're out of the rain. But I see the guys here when the rain really comes down. That's where they hang out because there's no roof yet. Now, my understanding is in about 30 days, or so, the roof will go on. So they're moving quick, guys. This is definitely moving very, very fast. So I wanted to take the time to get an update. It's been a while. Looks like I'm going to be juggling 3 builds. So that's good, as well as our projects. So plenty of material. And then what I'm also trying to do is, like we did the roof trusses today, just trying to pick big topics, because a lot of you guys that are thinking about building homes, you know, you ask a lot of specific questions, and I think it's better to show you. These homes here in the Philippines are built very well, very strong, very heavy. Think of how much concrete is in a home this size. It's staggering. And then metal roofing, and then all the metal trusses, and everything is welded in place, and the roof is welded to the home. You know, that's why when these typhoons come through, these modern homes, they don't go anywhere. They don't move. So just wanted to cover that with you guys. So there you have it. I think this is update number 8 of our neighbor's home.